Hey, it's Jessie, and I just wanted to tell everybody my story of depression and my anxiety. I was diagnosed with both in 2016. I was in the middle of ninth grade. I started noticing something was wrong with me going to 8th grade during the summer. I had this eating problem where I would not eat and I would drink a bunch of water and I would write down my weight every night. And within a week or so, if I didn't lose weight, I would get really mad and I would rip up the paper and I would start crying for like a really long time. I also had a journal that I wrote down everything that I hated about myself. I started noticing that I was sad throughout the whole day and I didn't go in public a lot, and when I did, I had anxiety attacks, but I didn't know they were anxiety attacks yet. I just thought that I don't want to be in public, people are going to be talking about me, people are going to be staring at me, I don't want to be there. So basically, my dad basically knew I had depression and he played it against me kind of and told me, Jessie, if you start crying when we go out in public again, I'm going to take you to the doctor and you're going to have to take depression medicine. I was so scared. I didn't know what that type of medicine was for or what depression was at all. So I stopped crying when I went in public, and when I got into high school, 9th grade, I had a really bad anxiety attack right before school started. I was scared that people were gonna bully me like I was bullied when I was a kid and stuff. Thought people were gonna talk about me or stare at me, think I was weird. Basically, I was just scared of everyone around me and what they were thinking or saying, even though they probably weren't even looking at me. So that's where my anxiety comes in. I have social anxiety. I get scared when I meet new people, when I go in public, when I'm around a bunch of people. But I went to the doctor in October of 2016 and he diagnosed me with depression and anxiety. He basically asked me a bunch of questions trying to figure out what type of mental illness I had. I knew there was something wrong with me and I basically knew I was depressed. I could just feel it. He was like, I don't think you're depressed. I think you're just sad for the moment. And like, I went back again and he asked me a bunch of more questions, and then he was like, you're depressed and I'm gonna put you on antidepressant medicines. So I started off on one medication and it was working okay. So I wanted to up my dosage so it would start working better, but it made me feel really sad and it made me feel worse than I already was before I started taking medicine. So I took one dose of a new medication and I went to a football game that night. And one of my friends was like, Jessie, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. People are noticing there's something wrong with me. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So I just break out crying, and I cried for 4 hours straight. I called my therapist and she's like, take her to the hospital if she doesn't stop crying. I went to the ER. I waited for 3 hours. They basically told me that they couldn't do anything about it. They basically just told me to wait until I see my normal doctor, and my doctor didn't really know what to do, so he put me on a different medicine right away. And this medicine made me really hyper. I painted my room in 2 days. I wrote like 2 journals. It was not the best. And one day I just had thoughts of killing myself, and I've never had that before. So it really scared me. So I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, I think I'm gonna try to kill myself. I'm really scared. I don't know why I'm thinking this stuff. So I went to this place that my dad called, and they basically was trying to decide if I was in harm of myself or others, to see if I needed to go inpatient or to something called PHP, Partial Hospital Program. I ended up going to PHP for 10 days. PHP is basically you do groups all day and you find coping skills to work with your depression, your anxiety, your basically any illness you have or the reason why you're there. And I went for 10 days and I finally met a psychiatrist. I met him twice while I was in there, and he changed my medicine and took me off the medicine that made me really hyper. And after that, I went to my normal psychiatrist that I go to now, and she put me on this medication, and I was doing good for about 2 months. I had thoughts of harming myself and stuff, but it wasn't bad at all. So I was doing okay. Then one of my friends tried to overdose, and I went to see her when she got out of the hospital and when she was in the hospital. I visited her twice in Houston. Then when she went to the hospital inpatient, I visited her once, and it triggered me. Trigger is basically something that you can hear, something somebody says, something somebody does, something you experience that just sets off whatever you have. Like PTSD, if you like see or hear loud noises or something, you like flash back and stuff. Well, it's basically like that, but for whatever disorder you have. So I had a trigger and I went right back to the hospital that she was in, and I got assisted or analyzed or whatever the heck it's called, where they ask you a bunch of questions and see if you're in danger of yourself or others. And basically the doctor was scared that I was going to try to kill myself, so I had to stay for 5 nights, 6 days, and I had no communication with anyone, no phones. The only time you can call your parents is at night for 10 minutes. No TV besides at night when they let you watch a movie if you're not in trouble. Basically, if y'all want to know more about that, then I might just make a new video about just the hospital. But basically, I was in there for a while. Then when I got out, I stopped going to school pretty much, because when I do go, people basically ask me why I don't go, and why am I at home, why am I so lazy, why don't I go to school, it's not fair. They don't understand what I go through every day. I have to make choices. Am I going to eat? Am I going to try to kill myself? Am I going to harm myself? Well, yesterday I had to make one of those decisions because basically I got triggered by somebody that I thought was my friend. I basically lost all my friends pretty much. I don't have no one, but this happened and I really wanted to cut myself. I have cut myself, so I do know how it feels, and I learned when I was in the hospital, after I got out inpatient and I went back to PHP, I realized that when you cut yourself, it releases a chemical from your body and it makes your mind think like you should do it more. But like my arm was itching so bad and I just had the urge to cut myself. But I was like, am I going to cut myself or am I going to do something that makes me feel like I am, but I'm really not? So I decided not to cut myself, and I decided to write on my arm with Sharpie, basically all around my arm. And yeah, I basically go through struggles every single day. I think about things that normal people just do on a daily basis without thinking. Well, I basically made this video so everyone knows like my whole story, and basically just know that people will always be there to help you along the lines of whatever you're going through. You may lose people, but you're gonna find out who's really there for you, and there's always somebody willing to help you. If you're ever going through anything, just try to reach out to someone. You can You can reach out to me, or you can reach out to your parents. If your parents aren't there, reach out to a friend. Just reach out to anyone that you think would actually be there for you, and you might be surprised at how far you go in life. Basically, that's the end of this video, and thank you for watching.